What if Klay Thompson landed with the New York Knicks? All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest. So earlier today, Shams on his FanDuel TV show Run It Back with Michelle Beal, Lou Williams, Chandler Parsons, he had a segment talking about Klay Thompson's free agency. And if you take a look here, Klay Thompson, I'm told, is open to all external options in free agency coming up. Now listen, there hasn't been any news linking Klay Thompson to the Knicks, but of course, when I saw this post, it just got me to think. And it got me to think about Klay Thompson and him not really being appreciated by the Golden State Warriors. Prior to this season, the Golden State Warriors, they did offer Klay Thompson an extension, but supposedly Klay Thompson didn't like the offer that they had on the table, so he rejected it, which lands us here. Klay Thompson is going to be an unrestricted free agent, and he's going to be testing out the market. And I know the Knicks aren't really going to be able to offer Klay Thompson the type of money that he wants because we have a lot of other stuff going on. We got to deal with OG. We got to deal with Isaiah Hartenstein. We're going to have to deal with the contract extensions as soon as the finals end between Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and the Knicks. So there's a lot of different things that we have in front of us that pretty much neglects us from trying to entertain Klay Thompson coming to the Knicks. But, of course, all of us basketball fans, what we love to do, we love to live in hypothetical land. So here's one. Here's a doozy. What if the Knicks were actually in a place where they can offer Klay Thompson the type of money he wants and he actually comes to the Knicks? What would the roster look like? And realistically, would that put us in contention for Eastern Conference Finals? And would it also put us in contention to get into the NBA Finals? Now, this past season, Klay Thompson, it was very up and down for him. I mean, beginning of the season, he started for his team, and then towards the middle of the season, Steve Kerr benched him, and then towards the end of the season, he started again. Like, it was very up and down with Klay Thompson. And if we're going to keep it a stack, and if we're going to keep it 100, Klay Thompson, ever since he had those two injuries, when he tore his Achilles and when he also tore his ACL, in back-to-back years, like, he hasn't really been the same. Prior to those two injuries, Klay Thompson was looked at as the premier 3-and-D guy, knocking down important key three-point shots, but he was also looked upon as guarding and trying to shut down the best offensive player on the opposing team. But since those injuries have occurred, Klay Thompson on the defensive end hasn't really been like himself, and we haven't really seen Game 6 Klay. And Klay Thompson, who's looked at as the second best shooter of all time, not the second best shooter of his generation, not the second best shooter of the Western Conference, the second best shooter of all time, just behind his own teammate, Stephen Curry. Like, that's something that he's still going to be able to provide for any team that he goes to. But would I want Klay Thompson on the Knicks? Now, listen, we kind of have our own version of Klay Thompson, and I'll be the one to say we actually have maybe a better version of Klay Thompson, and the person that I'm thinking about is actually Donte DiVincenzo. Now, he's not as good of a defensive player as Klay Thompson was/is, but if we're talking three-pointers, if we're talking offensive output, at this point of Klay Thompson's career and at this point of Donte DiVincenzo's career, you can definitely make the argument that Donte DiVincenzo is better. One, he doesn't have those major injuries that Klay Thompson had to face. Two, he's younger than Klay Thompson. I believe Donte DiVincenzo might be like 27, 26, somewhere around there. So he's starting to hit the prime of his career, where Klay Thompson, I believe, is 34. So there's a lot of things going for Donte DiVincenzo, and Klay Thompson has a lot of things that he's going to have to deal with. And if we're going to be comparing Donte's numbers to Klay's numbers for this past season, let's jump right into that. So for this past season, you take a look here, the numbers for Klay Thompson: 17.9 points, average 3.3 rebounds, 2.3 assists, shooting 43.2% from the field, 38.7% from three-point land, converting 92.7% from free throws. So Klay Thompson, I mean, if you look at those numbers, they're not bad numbers. You know, those are solid NBA veteran all-star numbers. But the only thing with Klay Thompson is when you compare those numbers to past Klay, to prior to his injuries Klay, like, those aren't the numbers that the Golden State Warriors are expecting, that they're hoping for. And then when you add on top of that the accolades, take a look at that. A 5-time All-Star, 4-time NBA champ, 2 times All-NBA, the 2018-2019 All-Defensive Team. Like, Klay Thompson just has accolades upon accolades with his tenure with the Golden State Warriors. So for this past season, Donte DiVincenzo averaged 15.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, 2.7 assists, converting 44.3% from the field, 40.1% from three-point land, converting 75.4% from the free throw line, So when you compare those numbers to Klay Thompson, as far as points, Dante was 15.5, Klay was at 17.9, so Klay got that edge there. As far as rebounds, Dante 3.7, Klay 3.3, Dante got the edge there. Assists, Dante had 2.7, Klay had 2.3, so Dante has a slight edge. Now this is where we need to focus on the numbers. As far as field goal percentage, Dante was at 44.3% from the field, Klay was at 43.2% from the field, so Dante has a slight advantage there. 3-point land, Dante for the season was 40.1%, where Klay Thompson was 38.7% from 3-point land, so Dante has that edge there. Free throws, Dante was 75.4%, and Klay averaged 92.7% from the free throw line. So I'm really interested to see how many field goal attempts that they both had. But surprisingly, at this point of Klay Thompson's career and at this point of Dante DiVincenzo's career, like the numbers are kind of similar. And just to make sure that I give you guys the right information, Dante DiVincenzo is in fact 27 years old. So again, he's hitting his prime right now, where Klay Thompson at 34 after 2 injuries. He's on the backside of his career. Now, again, this is all hypothetical. We're in hypothetical land. The Knicks more than likely are not going to be able to offer any sort of money to Klay Thompson. They're dealing with OG, Isaiah Hartenstein, the contract extension negotiation talks with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. So the Knicks, realistically, it's not going to happen. But I should mention that this past weekend, Klay Thompson unfollowed the Golden State Warriors on Instagram. Now, do with that information what you want. I mean, I'm 34, so I don't really think it holds that much weight. But I feel like anybody that's 30 years or younger, they're going to think that that's like the biggest thing. Klay Thompson unfollowed the Golden State Warriors, so there's some beef there. But I also got to mention how Klay Thompson, he unfollowed the Golden State Warriors, but he immediately started following Paolo Banchero and the Orlando Magic. And the Orlando Magic, they have the money, they have the cap space to offer players the type of money that they're looking for. And there's been a lot of rumors, there's been a lot of stories and articles published linking Klay Thompson to the Orlando Magic. And if that happens, if Klay Thompson goes to the Orlando Magic, man, in a previous video, I've already talked about the Orlando Magic and how bright of a future they have. They have a second-year player, Paolo Banchero, who made the All-Star team in his second year in the league. They have a bona fide superstar on Paolo Banchero, who already has the playoff experience, losing in 7 games in the first round against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he has the experience. He knows what it takes to get to the playoffs, and now he knows what it takes to get past the first round of the playoffs. So you're going to add a Klay Thompson, a 4-time NBA champion, who's going to be able to give game to Paolo Banchero, to Jalen Suggs, to Wendell Carter Jr. He's going to be able to spit game and tell them what it takes to win a championship, the type of sacrifice that players, that the organization has to make in order to get to the next level. Like that type of information, that type of game that Klay Thompson is going to be giving them is invaluable. So I'm just saying, if one day we wake up and we see Klay Thompson signing with the Orlando Magic at the bottom line while SportsCenter is running on ESPN, we shouldn't be surprised. That's one. But two, as far as the Eastern Conference and as far as Knicks fans, we should at least be a little weary of it. I'm not saying that the Orlando Magic signing Klay Thompson, they're going to be the #1 contender in the Eastern Conference. That's absolutely not the case, because the Boston Celtics are still going to be there. Dame and Giannis, they're going to have a full season under the belt, where they have a training camp under the belt to develop chemistry, to develop camaraderie. And of course, the Knicks, we still here, baby. We got to talk about the players that were looking like skeletons on the floor, who were on the floor and who were not on the floor. So Julius Randle was out. Mitchell Robinson was laboring pretty much the whole season. Bogdanovich was out. Just Josh Hart was dealing with an injury. Jalen Brunson was dealing with an injury. OG Anunoby was dealing with an injury. Like, that 6 player is just ripping it, freestyling right now. So again, Klay Thompson going to Orlando Magic is not going to change the dynamic in the landscape of the Eastern Conference. But we do got to keep an eye on them, because the Orlando Magic, they already have a nice core. And the more experience that they have, the more experience that they get, they might be able to propel some of these teams in the Eastern Conference. And I don't want to seem like I'm putting too much on it, because we do have to keep this in the forefront. Klay Thompson has had 2 major injuries to his lower extremities, a torn ACL and a torn Achilles. Those are 2 of the worst injuries that any basketball player can have. And he had them in back-to-back years. So Klay Thompson, yes, he's not going to be his old self, but Klay Thompson is still going to be able to provide some sort of offensive output that the Orlando Magic or that some team needs. But if we're talking about the Orlando Magic, Klay Thompson being the shooter that he's known for, and I'm pretty sure that the Golden State Warriors, they let him walk, that's going to be another layer of motivation that Klay Thompson is going to have in the offseason to train, to get back to his old Klay Thompson self. He's going to want to make an impact with the Orlando Magic next season, to let the Golden State Warriors, that they let him go for nothing, that they're going to regret it. That's not going to bode well for the rest of the Eastern Conference. So we'll see what happens. But that's it for today's video, guys. I want to say thank you for checking it out. But leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the whole Klay Thompson unfollowing the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson listening to all teams' offers, being an unrestricted free agent. What if the Knicks somehow, by some sort of prayer, land Klay Thompson? Would you like to see that? Also, leave it in the comments and let me know what you guys think about Klay Thompson maybe landing with the Orlando Magic. If Klay Thompson goes to the Orlando Magic, is it time to start worrying? Should we be a little bit more fearful of the Orlando Magic? But that's it for today's video, guys. Remember to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until the next time, I'll check you out in the next video. And I almost forgot to close out the video with my traditional saying, Taj Gibson for president, Jalen Brunson for all the MVPs, the deuce is loose for co-MVP, wherever you guys are. And now I can end the video. I'll check you guys out in the next video. Peace.